Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So today we're going to be looking at, you know, we're going to be looking at national development planning, national development planning in Nigeria. Okay, so we'll be looking at the first development plan and the second development plan. Okay, so development plans have been accepted as a suitable strategy to address development challenges in Nigeria. Now, the analysis of the various development plans in Nigeria since independence actually becomes necessary, when we're talking about development plan in Nigeria. So the first one we're going to be looking at is pre-independence plan. Pre-independence plan. Now, Nigeria's planning experience began with the 10-year plan of development and welfare for Nigeria, which was introduced in 1946 by the colonial government. The government existed between 1945 to 1956. Sequel to that was sequel to the circular from the Secretary of State for Colonies, to all British colonies, directing the setting up a center, a central development board. Now, the 10-year plan of development and welfare for Nigeria could not be actually, could not actually be termed as plan in real sense because it contained mainly a list of uncoordinated projects in various regions. The objective of the plan, though not stated, was to meet the perceived needs of the colonial government rather than stated, rather than any conscious attempt to influence, the overall performance of the Nigerian economy then. Now, the primary interest of the colonial government, the primary interest of the colonial government, was to produce agricultural products such as granules, palm oil, and cocoa, that were required by the British factories. No attempt was made to articulate and incorporate, the needs and interest of Nigerian people into the objective and priorities of the development plans. Now, the development plan, the program suffered from non-specialized colonial administration's approach to development planning. The inadequacy, of the inadequacy of machinery, and of course absence of clearly defined national objectives. Now, those were actually, the shortcomings of the development plan under the colonial government. Okay, now let us look at the first development plan, after independence. Now, the first national development plan actually happened between 1962 and 1968. Immediately after the attainment of independence in 1960, the first national development plan was between 1962 and 1968. Okay, now the objective of the plan were number one, to bring about equal distributions of national income. Number two, to speed up, the rate of economic growth. Number three, to generate savings for investment so as to reduce its dependence on external capital for the development of the nation. Then number four, to get enough capital for development of manpower. Number five, to increase the standard of living of the masses, particularly in respect of food, housing, health, and clothing, and of course, to develop the infrastructure of the nation. It had a proposed total investment, expenditure of about 2.1 billion. Now, the public sector was expected to gulp, majority of that money. Though the plan appeared impressive, but due to political upheaval in the country, which resulted in a 30 months civil war, the plan almost became redundant. Now, the objective and targets of the 1962 to 1968 plan were too large and are overambitious, and therefore out of tune with the financial, technical, and managerial capabilities of the country. This made the plan, to lack clarity, precision in the formulation of objective and targets. Now, but despite the weaknesses of the plan, okay, despite the weaknesses of the plan, some major projects were executed during the period. These included, the Nigerian Security and Minting, plant, the Jeba paper mill, the sugar mill, Niger Dam, the Niger Bridge, okay, the Kanji Dam, and of course the Port Harcourt refinery. Now let us look at the second national development plan. Now the second national development plan happened between 1970 to 1974. The second national development plan happened between 1970 to 1974. Now at the end of 1970, national reconstruction and rehabilitation were the focus of attention of the federal government in order to fasten the growth of national economy and ensure equitable distribution of national income. It became imperative to launch the second national development plan. Initially, the plan was meant to cover the 4-year period, that was 1970 to 1974. It was later extended to cover the fiscal year of 1974 to 1975. The plan put forward the following objectives. 1, a united, strong, and self-reliant nation. 2, a just and egalitarian society. 3, a land of bright and full opportunities for all citizens. 4, a free and democratic society. Now, the difference between this plan and others, is that besides being much bigger in size and more diversified in its project's composition, it was in fact the first truly national and fully integrated plan which viewed the economy as an organic unit. The 12 states were fully integrated into the national development plan, and also, unlike the first plan, the second plan was formulated only by Nigerians. Okay, now the total capital projected expenditure of about 4.9 billion was contained in the plan. Out of this figure, the proposed public sector investment was 3.3 billion, while the private sector was expected to invest 1.6 billion. Okay, now the highest order of priority in public sector projected expenditure were accorded to transport and communication, manufacturing, housing, and education. The second national development plan laid much emphasis on indigenization. Indigenization was seen, by this plan as an instrument towards the long-term objective of economic independence, although the second national development plan also attached importance on agriculture, industry, and development of high level and intermediate level manpower. The plan was beset with problems as an first national development plan. Now what are some of these issues that beset this national development plan? Now, some of them are high priority was actually given to agriculture and industry, which was not matched with action during the implementation of the plan. One of the basic tenets of second national development plan is indigenization policy. Indigenization policy was carefully designed to encourage Nigerians to participate fully in the commercial, industrial, and financial activities of the Nigerian economy. Several indigenization decrees were made to realize the objective of the policy. It is a sad commentary that close to 2 years after the enactment of the indigenization decree, that was in 1972, out of about 950 affected enterprises, only 314 or 33% were confirmed as having fully complied with the provisions of the decree. Okay, so those are the things. Now, it should also be emphasized that despite indigenization policy, there were over 16 multinational oil companies representing the United States, Dutch, Japanese, British, Italian, German, and French interests that have firm and massive grip on Nigeria's petroleum till date, till we speak. Now, an interesting feature of the second National Development Plan was the objective of creating a free and democratic society. In quotes, that was being challenged by the military government. This objective was put in place, okay, without considering any discussion on political development in the plan document and any means of returning to civil rule. Now, despite the inadequacies of the plan, it witnessed achievements in the areas of industry and agriculture. The industrial sector recorded more improvements. Many industries in the war affected areas were rehabilitated, coupled with the establishment of two salt factories in Kaduna, super phosphates project, and two vehicle assembly plants were also established. Other achievements included, the establishment of colleges of technology and trade centers by state governments and reconstruction of about 3,000 kilometers of road. Okay, now I have successfully talked about the colonial plan, that is the development plan under the colonial masters or under the colonial government, the first and the second national development plans in Nigeria. Thank you very much.